Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. Myself, Jake Storielli, a known Yankee fan and a known loser, circling up on the wide world of sports, but mostly need to put a final bow tie on the Dodgers winning the World Series. It's kind of funny. Coming into today, it was a quiet weekend, New York Marathon, daylight savings time. Kind of getting away from baseball. Try to get away from sports, but I like sports. Did finish 2 shows. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, we'll put a final bow tie on Yankees-Dodgers because I haven't really done that yet. I mean, it's kind of funny. We talk about these series so much between Talkin Jake, talking baseball, talking Yanks. And then we recorded our final Talkin Yanks episode live from the stadium and put that out. So that's just sadness and anger just coming through the mics with everything we got while trying to be thankful and appreciative for everything.
I mean, as raw and fresh as you can get.
It's the
formula.
It's part of the formula that made it our most watched Talkin Yanks episode by a mile. And then, so go home, sad. Might have had a sad beer in the street with Joe's McFly after the game. Sure. Go home, probably sleep from 4:30 a.m. till 9:30 a.m. Wake up, do talking baseball. Again, give the Dodgers their flowers while also still being sad and angry about a baseball team, which, I don't know whether it's cool or not anymore. It's kind of funky that it's tied into company and business now. That I think the new phrase that we've learned as a company is that if the Yankees win, one fan base likes that. If the Yankees lose, a lot of fan bases like that. That our streaming views and our final episode and everything like that. If the Yankees lose, there's actually more numbers for us. That's a sick game, but I'm still a fan, and I want the Yankees to win. So we will go through some of the final notes, because the last time I talked to you guys here, it was 3-1, and the Yankees had just a little bit of momentum, just a little bit of juice, and we wondered if it meant anything. It did for 4 innings, and then it didn't. And man, the Dodgers, a couple of these Dodger players are burying the Yankees. Joe Kelly, Kike Hernandez, a couple Red Sox Dodgers. How do you like that? The scouting report came out, and it was every Yankee fan's fear. So let's do that. Not going to do too much other baseball stuff. To be honest, my brain is kind of foggy and still not wired there yet. I haven't even gotten into Yankees offseason plans. I know a little bit of the free agent crop, obviously talking about it throughout the year. But I haven't locked into that mode yet. A little bit of sadness. Did watch NFL football this weekend, so we'll wrap up with that. And I guess somewhere in between, I'll tell you guys about the shows. And I'm wearing my Blitzball Battle 5 jersey, Team Baggage. That starts tonight. What's today? November 4th, if you're listening on our Warehouse Games channel. And we've actually got a little preview for you right now.
Blitzball Battle 5. Game 1, it is a true classic. Team Baggage, we got ice. We haven't seen this since the first ever game of Blitzball Battle 1.
This game is going to be one for the ages. I've said it. These two teams have got something to prove. We got ice. They've been the favourites for a lot of years, and they haven't been able to pull anything out. And look, we've got the company. This is the company we're talking about.
Peter, you're so right. Both of these teams do have something to prove. When you think of these tournaments, you think of these two squads. The fact that they both have 0 points is ridiculous, honestly. It's horrible. Talking to Jake before the game, I said, you got anything for me? And he just said, Baggage is back.
What are they back from?
Well, a lot of things.
A lot of losses?
All right.
A lot of things.
What do you have?
I've got to go. We got ice. They're going to get off on a beautiful start today. Zoe has been the most improved in this warehouse over the last few years. We'll see what they've got.
I think I'm going to go with We Got Ice. We will see you later today. Blitzball Battle 5, Game 1.
Hey, so make sure you guys go check that out. It's honestly, in this weird world of John Boy Media, it's one of the most fun, coolest things we do. If you've never checked it out, I ask you to. It's a pretty incredible product, and I know there's some mental hurdles to get over. Like, wait, I'm going to tune into these kind of out-of-shape guys playing a new version of wiffle ball in a warehouse. The product is amazing. It's a lot of fun. And let's go baggage. So with that, let's put my Wake and Jake final closing thoughts on the Dodgers winning the World Series. When we last checked in, Game 5, Yankees. They had beat up on the Dodgers AAA pitchers. Okay. What does it mean? Are you letting bats get hot? Do the Dodgers care? They've essentially punted games this postseason. Is Aaron Judge ever going to show up? Because the Yanks aren't going to beat the mighty, mighty Dodgers without the MVP chipping in. Garrett Cole, legacy game, yeah. And it was. Garrett Cole came out and was dominant. No hits through the first 4 innings. Aaron Judge homered in the first inning. 2-run homer. Jazz Chisholm goes back-to-back with him in that first inning. They extend the lead. Verdugo gets an RBI hit. Stanton hits another home run. It is 5-0 New York Yankees. Like, let's get ready for this. Let's start to believe. That's Yankee fans. We were saying internally, hey, if this goes to 6, we'll actually start to get hope and belief. If we're being honest, being up 5-0 in the 3rd inning of a game, that makes you have that belief that you're going to Game 6. And if you have belief you're going into Game 6, that means you believe you can win a series. I still remember in I think it was the 4th inning, the Yankees had a runner on, nobody out, and we were saying, hey, let's get a 7 on the board. Like, let's make this official, because they should win this game. They've got Cole. They've got their bullpen guys ready to go, and Cole looked amazing, man. Cole was dominant in a big game where you needed someone to be dominant. And then the 5th inning happens that if you're listening to this program, you know about by this point. Fly ball to Judge. I mean, just didn't catch it. Line drive fly ball. Just didn't catch it. Eyes come off very last second. Instead of the first out of the inning. No outs. Ground ball to shortstop. This one has become the most highly contested flub of the inning. It's deep in the hole. Volpe gets there because there's runners on first and second. He goes to Jazz Chisholm at third. He chokes the throw, short hops it. Jazz can't pick it. The runner's also getting there at a similar time. And for Jazz, a guy that hasn't played a lot of third base, only with the Yankees, so since the trade deadline. Volpe, a young player, the Dodgers being aggressive on the bases. This one, so in live time, I wasn't as mad because this point now does stand. If Volpe just doesn't choke that throw, it's a fine play. It's a solid play. You got the lead runner, you got an out. In live time, I wasn't super mad about this one. Joe's and Jimmy were. They were really hot. And what they were saying was it's a 5-0 game. You have to get an out. And that's a good point. And that point resonated with me that, yes, Anthony Volpe has to make that play. With Will Smith, the catcher, running, if there's any question marks about the play, which clearly in hindsight now, there should have been some question marks. You have to get an out anywhere. I don't think it was at second base. I do think there would have been a play to be had at first base, but that's not the lead runner. You're taking away forces. End of the day, I get it, and that is a physical error. If Anthony Volpe makes a slightly better throw, I think that play goes ignored. Or we'd even say, like, hey, that was a pretty solid play by Volpe. That's not how it gets reflected on. So if you heard me on Talkin Baseball, Trev kind of called me out because I was like, that Volpe play, you need to get an out there. It's a 5-0 game. I don't think that's the right play. He had what was my initial thought of like, no, that is the right play. Volpe just beefed it.
Just got to be better throw than that.
You can't beef it, and if there's a risk of that, I think there was an out to be had at first base. That you just up 5-0, you need an out. So I don't know. I'm open to both sides of the argument there. If Anthony Volpe makes a throw there, if Aaron Judge squeezes a ball there, none of these are anything. The one that stings and will continue to sting me for years. The bases are loaded in what is now a 5-out inning for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The bases are loaded with our captain not catching a ball. Kike got a single off of Cole. Kike does that, especially in the World Series. Tommy Edman, beefed ball. Will Smith, beefed ball from the captain, Aaron Judge, to Volpe, the prince who was promised to be the next New Jersey Yankee shortstop. Bases loaded. So what does Garrett Cole do in this game of games? Strikes out Gavin Lux on 4 pitches, 3 fastballs and a changeup. He strikes out Shohei Ohtani. Bases loaded for Shohei Ohtani. 4 pitches. Cutter, changeup, fastball, knuckle curve. Knuckle curve looked great. So now it's Mookie Betts. And the thing I keep bringing up is that Mookie Betts was lined up to win the MVP award this year. A lot of baseball still had to happen and he gets hurt. But if you remember, Mookie Betts was playing shortstop, racking up WAR, hitting at an amazing pace. And then he hurts his wrist, I believe, and he's out for most of the season. We were wondering if they were going to shake up the shortstop position anyway, so who knows how this would have played out. But I talked about it a lot, and you guys heard my ups and downs with Mookie Betts playing shortstop in his 30s for the first time, where I was like, this breaks history. This breaks baseball. That if Mookie did it successfully, which he was, I was locking him in as like an inner circle Hall of Famer. Like the now respect we have for utility players. Utility players get gold gloves. Utility players are getting silver sluggers. Mookie Betts was going to be the best shortstop and MVP-winning shortstop that in your Hall of Fame lineup, if we're adding a util position, like I think Mookie Betts would have been the best ever utility player this game's ever seen. I'm sure there's players and debates up to be had about that. Let's have him when we're old and dying and shit. Whoa! He's still kind of sad and emotional. Here comes Mookie Betts. Cutter, slider, and he hits a squibber to first base. And Garrett Cole takes a couple steps off the mound, basically gets ready to fist pump and give emotion that he rarely gives on a baseball field because he's kind of done it all. He's won the Cy Young. He's as talented a pitcher is. He's gotten out of jams. He's pitched in big games. This was a World Series elimination game, the last game that'll be pitched at home in Yankee Stadium. The squibber to Rizzo. Rizzo fields. He looks to toss to first base to a not covering Garrett Cole. He freezes up. Mookie Betts beats it out. And what would have been a 0 on the scoreboard in an inning, we would have said, whoa, this Yankees defense. Can you believe it? They get away with another one. Garrett Cole, legendary. Mookie Betts reaches first on an infield single, what's labeled an infield single. And then Freddie gets a hit. Teoscar hits a double. I got as kind of firm as I ever get with Trevor because he's like, well, Cole, he still needs to get guys out there. The guys coming up and now a 6-out inning are Freddie Freeman, who won playoff MVP, and for a couple years I have argued is the best pure hitter in baseball. That's who's up in that inning. And then he's followed by Teoscar Hernandez, who, hey, Teoscar's awesome, and he's one of the bigger threats in baseball, and he's going to get more of a bag this offseason. And he was a guy that was allowed to be signed this year because of Ohtani's kind of flex contract he signed. That I won't take any of that. I will take none of that. Garrett Cole should not have been on that mound in any way, shape, or form at that point. Never mind facing two of the best hitters in baseball in the World Series. So I don't do that. No, normally I kind of do. It's like, yeah, whatever. I can't here. I can't here. It goes back to the play at first base, and all the people that say Garrett Cole should have covered first base on that play, they are right. They are right. If there's a ball to the pitcher's left, they are supposed to cover first base until they're not needed to cover first base. That's the rules. You show up day one of pitchers and catchers. They report early, and that's some of the stuff they do. That there's no argument against that. Garrett Cole should have been there. Anthony Rizzo. He should have fielded that ball and stepped on first. Where he fielded it, maybe not. But that, I believe we looked up the exit velo on that ball, and it was 45? 45 exit velo. My initial thought was 70s.
That would have been a slow hit ball.
45 mile per hour off a squibber from Mookie Betts, who, again, was originally lined up to win the MVP award this year. That Rizzo should have attacked that ball, and he should have stepped on first. That was my initial reaction. That was everyone in the crowd's initial reaction. Just the way it came off the bat and the way Rizzo fielded it. Rizzo doesn't. And then again, however your brain works when you go through the check marks of baseball, there is no denying that Garrett Cole should have made more of an effort to cover first base on that play. And when I was going through that, I kept spiraling and spinning and going, what's going on? What is this? Like, why wasn't I more mad at Garrett Cole? Because I can't deny that fact. And in my head, it was just because Anthony Rizzo should have been more aggressive with that ball and he should have stepped on first. That's what made sense in the play. It's what made sense in my head. It's what made sense at the stadium. It's what makes sense when you get a player like Mookie Betts to squib out to end a World Series inning from hell. A World Series inning that ends up deciding the World Series. If you don't get that, it ended up deciding the World Series. And why did I have this kind of, not even animosity at Rizzo, just sadness? This guy that's won a platinum glove has been a great first base defender. Not this year. Reminder, in previous games, Anthony Rizzo got subbed out from first base for Oswaldo Cabrera. That's playing first base as his sixth best position. Fifth or sixth, depending how you want to label it.
In either way, not the one he has the most experience with.
Just not a position he plays, but he's playing it better than Anthony Rizzo. And a reminder, Alex Verdugo is playing left field because he can catch fly balls. So that's just something to think about along the way. And it's just whatever. Obviously sad, broken. The Yanks go on to lose that game. There's other questionable pitching decisions. Should they have gone to Weaver earlier? Looks like yes. In hindsight, which is the easiest way, Tommy Kahnle gets 0 batters out in the bottom of their order. They thought that was his lane. It turns out it was not. I wasn't that mad at the time because you saved Kahnle for this, and it's the bottom of their order. So would you rather go to Kahnle against Freddie, or would you rather go to Kahnle against the bottom?
It was fresh, but
turns out it didn't really matter in that outing. I wake up the next day, still in my pile of sadness, and someone, what did I tweet? I tweeted out like I'm still angry and sad, like whatever, pathetic stuff. I'll get in there. I'm watching Rich Eisen. Oh, I tweeted out there could have been, or no, that's too late. I was going to say there could have been. I tweeted out, haven't really been on my phone today. Oh my God. I double checked the box score to make sure this wasn't AI messing with me. And it's because I knew my soul had something else about that play. If you haven't seen it, Garrett Cole gets Mookie Betts out in the first inning on the exact same squibber. The exact same squibber.
About as identical as 2 ground balls to first can be.
And just a reminder, still Mookie Betts, the guy that should have won MVP in the first half or until he got injured in the National League this year. It's the exact same play, and what does Rizzo do? Rizzo fields it a couple steps from the bag, comes in on the ball because it's a squibber, that even if you beef it, you could still pick it up and step on the base because it's so lightly hit. It was the same play, and that's why my soul just knew this wasn't a Cole thing. And for those that always want it, and for those whose mind operates in that function, you can never be wrong about blaming Cole for that he made part of his own mess. But he didn't, man. He really didn't. In that moment, the whole stadium thought Rizzo was going to grab it, step on first, and Garrett Cole was going to have a heroic moment. Instead, it goes the complete opposite way. I know I just said a lot, and this might feel like sad loser cover-up talk. None of that or none of what I'm about to say is to knock the Dodgers down. The Dodgers were the favorites in this World Series. The Dodgers were the better team. That's the only quote I would take back. At one point, I think in the initial Talkin Yanks reaction, Jimmy says the Dodgers were the better team, and I said, no, they're not. I meant to say more. They're not more talented.
Like the talent, the pure talent level was close.
The talent is very similar.
Pick your flavor.
In fact, I'd like to say that they are a much better team, and that is the circus that's currently happening around baseball right now, mostly with Dodger players dunking on the Yankees and Joel Sherman and everything else coming out. That if you have no idea and you're kind of like, hey, Jake, let's get through the Yankees talk. Well, maybe this is more general baseball talk, but it is targeted at the Yankees. Basically, the Dodger players have come out and said the scouting report was to make the Yankees play baseball because they're so bad at base running and so bad at defense that as long as you make the game of baseball happen, if you don't give up 5 homers and Cole doesn't strike you out 15 times, that as long as you make the game of baseball happen, that these Yankees would be beat. And that's exactly what happened. The Dodgers' game plan, they came out after and said, was to put the ball in play and make the Yankees execute. This isn't made up. This isn't opinions. This is what Joel Sherman got from the Dodgers players in their scouting meetings. That's a little league scouting report. Put the ball in play and make them execute? Isn't the whole thing that these guys are big leaguers? Like the only way to make it to the big leagues, if you're a big leaguer. This is the scouting report about the New York Yankees. And then Joe Kelly came out with his first line of quotes saying, they started kicking the ball around and playing Yankee defense, labeling a 3-error inning. And the Yankees also, they had a catcher's interference. Luke Weaver stepped off, disengaged for a third time, gave up a base runner. In a World Series game. Not a regular season game in August. A World Series game.
Like not to distract us, but I don't think I've seen the third disengagement happen since that rule came in.
I don't think the Yanks had one this year. I'm sure there had to be one or two around the league. But
I'm sure there's been a couple, and there's been times they threw over twice. They can't throw again.
Right.
The rules obviously been a big part of baseball, but it was a non-competitive throw over that is kind of lost in the shuffle of this game. I have that Joe Kelly audio if you want me to play for the people.
Why not?
They haven't heard it.
You said you play the Yankees base. So did you guys know? Was that sort of the thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were saying every single game, just let them throw the ball to the infield. They can't make a play. I mean, you saw Shohei got an extra base going to third on sloppy Glaber play. It's well known. We all knew. I mean, we're the Dodgers. We know every little detail. But I mean, past that, it was a fun series. I mean, they almost snagged a couple wins. You know what I mean? But I mean, if it was like the NCAA, like basketball, baseball, hockey, or football, I mean, it was just a mismatch from the get go. We had a playoff re-ranking. They might be ranked 8th or 9th best playoff team. You know what I mean? You're putting the Padres ahead of them. You're putting the Phillies ahead of them. You're putting the Mets ahead of them. You're putting the Braves ahead of them, and the Braves just got unlucky because they had to play that doubleheader. You're putting, the Guardians played like crap, but the Guardians played better baseball around. it was just a complete mismatch, and it was kind of the same feeling from 2018 when we had to go play the Dodgers. Like, the Red Sox were just a way better team. So all we knew is that we just had to play regular Dodger baseball. We didn't have to play out of our butts. We didn't have to do anything crazy, and we were going to win the World Series.
So that was the more recent Joe Kelly quote from today. The initial one I read was from right after the game. And yeah, go click around. Joel Sherman about a month ago was saying if the Yankees lose in the playoff, it'll be essentially because of poor defense and base running, and almost to a level that they've stopped respecting the sport of baseball. And that's kind of exactly where it landed. That rethinking all of it, part of what Joe Kelly's saying is right, that like, the NL is stacked. I think in hindsight, the Dodgers-Padres was playing for the World Series. I think both of those teams were built perfectly for October. The Padres were up 2-1, and then that Dodgers pitching kicked in and shut them out, set a postseason record. That I think those two teams, I think the winner of that series was going to win the World Series. On the Yankee side of things, I think what's disappointing and part of the thought process there is that, okay, let's say the Yankees, before this season, an epiphany happened. They listened to their fan base that said, hey, maybe care about the fundamentals and run to first hard and, care about base running. And, hey, if you do something bad, there might be a punishment to that. You might get benched Glaber. You might get benched Volpe. Anyone. You need to respect the game of baseball, the baseball gods. I think if that actually got taught into the Yankees organization, God, I think this team would have won a lot of games this year. Clay Holmes blew the most saves in baseball because they believed in what they wanted to believe instead of the facts. That Clay Holmes, and this is the part that probably stings us the most, a lot of Clay Holmes blown saves were the exact same thing. It was infield single. It was infield error on a tricky play. It was, one walk, one weird infield play, and then like a hit. And that's what blew the save. And Booney would come on our show and he would talk to the press after and he'd say, well, Clay's throwing the ball great. And, if Volpe makes that play, we never get there. If Glaber makes, your team doesn't make those plays. That's the problem. So although all of your metrics have told you that Clay Holmes is throwing the ball great, what you have put around him has not put him in a position to be the best closer in baseball. Never mind a top 10 closer in baseball. Which for the month of June, they would come out, the whole team in interviews would say Clay is the best closer in baseball. Not with what you've provided him with, and just in general, but if you say something enough, maybe it'll come true. If that mentality had gotten drilled into the Yankees before the season, this year, I think they could have won like 105 games. They could have won 108 games. I think part of the problem with baseball is that means nothing currently. Like, how many wins you truly get in the regular season currently doesn't matter, technically.
As long as there's enough to get in.
Where the seeding is and having that one seed, like I guess they would have had home field over the Dodgers, which who knows what could have happened. But
I think third base doesn't get just given up 3 times in game 1.
Would have been interesting. And that, these Yankees, because the other thing when I'm talking about the regular season wins, the AL East was down. Like, the Orioles limped to the finish line. The Rays and Sox and Jays were out of it. There was really no other dominant team. Like, Houston essentially, not limped into the finish line, but they didn't run away.
They put themselves in such a hole at the beginning that, like, they weren't pushing for anything at the end.
No. Like, what did they finish wins-wise? In my head, it's like 88.
Looking into it.
I haven't looked at the regular season standings in a while.
88.
88 wins. So, I don't know. In a way, it's therapeutic to hear all this come out. and the Dodgers saying this, and you pray that the Yankees front office is going to eat it and learn their lesson. Yankee fans are not believing that. They think they're going to come out and say a bunch of BS and be happy they made it to the World Series for the first time in 14 years.
And there's the thought that, like, even if they don't come out and say that, that's what they would have done if not for the Dodgers saying all of this after.
Right. Oh,
Like,
God.
If they don't, there's not a part of anyone that we talk to that would believe, like, they came to that conclusion on their own, and it's not because they got embarrassed.
I mean, they're going to say they lost the World Series on one random inning. When everything the Dodgers and everything everyone else is telling you, it wasn't random. That's the whole thing. So we will see what that turns into for this Yankees offseason. The Juan Soto free agency has begun.
Yeah.
Will become quite the storyline throughout. And to be honest, I'm excited to get into all the other stuff now. I'm excited to where's Pete Alonso going to actually land? Where's Bregman going to go? There's a pitching crop, man.
There's a group.
I mean, if Cole's option doesn't get picked up, I do think it will. But Corbin Burns, Max Fried, I mean, these are guys that are impact, change your rotation type players. I feel like there's Blake Snell is back in a free agency. That's going to be an interesting one.
No qualifying offer.
Like
so.
you can make a couple actual rotations with the free agent pool, which you can't normally say that. So there is some starting pitching depth. Hitting, I think per usual, hitting just gets thinner than you'd like quick. Soto, Adames, his market is really big at the shortstop position. Profar, Bregman, Hernandez, Santander, Christian Walker, Jock, Ha-Seong Kim, Pete, Tyler O'Neill. And then, yeah, I mean, you can make like one good lineup out of the hitters. The pitching,
It's better than last year's, but it's not, not in the territory of like an all-time free agency. But there's good players.
There's good players that I'm excited to sink my teeth in. I'm excited to see who's gonna get in the mix. Are the Tigers gonna try to put some money forward to try to boost that young team? It was funny reading one of the articles about them because they were like, well, the Dodgers at the end of the year, they were down to one pitcher and they need a lot of hitting. Tigers, excuse me. So they can kind of go whichever route they really want in free agency, play the value bin game. I don't know. And yeah, it's kind of what are the behemoths going to do? Could the Yankees get Soto and add? Will they? Will Soto go somewhere else? How are the Phillies going to be in the dance? Because they love to dance. All the big boys, and then seeing what other teams are going to step up and bolster. Because I do think the other walk away is the Dodgers did it, and they're going to be here for a while. And the Braves, they're really good, and they had a down year, but they're probably going to bounce back. The Mets are looking to get in the mix. They made the CS. Padres, this is going to be an interesting offseason for them. How much are they going to do the polka? Will any central teams evoke anything? And which step does Houston take? Alex Bregman's a free agent after an 88-win team. The Mariners, do they ever have a solution, or is their team's goal to literally win 83 games a year? They came out and said that. That's insane. Will the Boston Red Sox get really back into a free agency again? Toronto, what's happening up there? You always hear they have money. Are they full rebuilding? The Rays will do something weird. I'm excited to get into all of it. We'll be doing it here. We'll be doing it on Talkin Baseball. If you thought that was a little bit of Talkin Yanks there, we're obviously doing it there. But it was down to the Yankees and the Dodgers. And the Yankees got embarrassed. Embarrassed at the party. And the Dodgers are openly talking about it. Not like tipping pitches. Not like we thought we could be better at them than this. Just playing the game of baseball. The Yankees couldn't do it. Yet they had enough talent to take them to the World Series and almost win 3 out of 5 games. That's how much talent they had. Infuriating. A little sad.
One last infuriating thing about that play, the Rizzo one, that I just haven't been able to shake the last couple days. Just Mookie's not fast anymore. Like, that's a pretty underrated part of this, and I haven't been able to shake that for like 2 days.
He can, I think if Mookie needs to turn one on and get down the line.
I think on that play we were getting the best
You were getting
2024
Mookie's-
Mookie has to offer, and the breakdown had a good side-by-side of the first inning versus last one, thinking he has a chance. Obviously, he's a step ahead, but...
Not even talking about Stanton's base running. Let's see what happens for the upcoming Yankees and the rest of the league, because part of getting rid of shifts was like defense was supposed to be more in vogue, and it was for other teams. It was for other teams. Excited to get into the baseball offseason, truly. Let's do some foosball, because we had a nice NFL Sunday. I thought we were getting the Germany game this weekend. You know that gets me excited. It's next weekend. Big one. I think it's our G-men, right?
Giants-Panthers. So, sending our best.
Jesus, man. Sorry, Munich. Let's see. This goes back to Thursday, and if some of you were confused by what I was saying, if you remember, the New York Jets were favorites against the Texans on Thursday Night Football. The 2-6 Jets at the time against the 6-2 Texans, and it was just the Vegas smell test was off. Why were these Jets favored? It was a do-or-die game for them. And for the Texans, it was not, and they lost 2 of their wide receivers, so there was a little football side to it too. But, I mean, this is just an example of if Vegas knows something, just question whatever you were thinking. Because the Jets, they come out and they win this game 21-13. Rodgers looks better as the game goes on. We get a Garrett Wilson signature catch that was disgusting, and it kind of hits my new rule of sports. I don't know if that should have been a catch. Like, his shin gets down kind of in bounds, and it's a weird, like, shin is part of the knee rule in football, and his shin does hit down before the knee. I wish there was a rule in sports that was something like, hey, this is so close and so cool, count it. And maybe that's what did happen. I think his shin does get in bounds, but to overturn it from not catch to catch on replay, that's a little bit of this.
Kind of all of it feels not in the spirit of the rule.
It was tight. It was a sick catch. It counts. The Jets win that game. They stay alive, and it is funny how quickly their narrative. People were looking at their schedule and they were like, "Hey, there's no guaranteed wins. Like, where's the 1-8 team or anything like that?" I currently think that there's 2 teams upcoming for them that have winning records. The Cardinals next week. My Cardinals. I'm actually excited to talk about them. And then a game against the Bills. So, like, Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jags, Rams, Dolphins to end it. People have a little Jets hope. That's a very dangerous game, especially watching what I watched at Yankee Stadium last week. But good for them for keeping the hope alive. This brings us to the Sunday slate. I'll check this one off quickly, and I wish I had more of a more resounding tone about it. My Broncos got routed by the Ravens. If you've been listening, you know the Ravens are currently my Super Bowl favorites, and it's because some of these stats. Lamar Jackson in this game was 16 of 19 for 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers, 5 for 127, 2 touchdowns. They won 41-10. It was actually somewhat close, and the Broncos showed a little bit of fight in the first half. But these Ravens are clearly in a different class of football right now. Bo Nix, receiving touchdown. The only score the Broncos got. Touchdown in this game. So the Broncos wins were against lesser competition. This all added up on it, and they got beat up pretty good. The Atlanta Falcons, a nice 27-21 win over the Cowboys. Kirky kind of the modern passing line this year. The yards aren't insane, 222, but 19 of 24 for 3 touchdowns. Bijan has a nice game. The Cousins, Darnell Mooney connection. I've been pretty pleased with myself. Got that going in a couple fantasy leagues, and those two, having a connection used to kind of mean something. They have it. It's kind of cool to watch. They beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys are in a tough spot. Dak leaves this game. CD leaves this game. Zeke Elliott wasn't invited to this game because he's been missing team meetings. It's a bad sign. The Cowboys are just dearth of talent. There's the guys CD Lamb, Dak, Zeke. Micah Parsons has been out.
Dak is now out.
That defense is kind of a built to play from ahead defense, to rush you and make turnovers happen and make pressure happen, and they haven't been ahead. That they've been getting beat up on the ground. And in every which way, to be honest. The 3-5 Cowboys, man, it's not looking good. I saw a lot going on. People talking about Dak and Kirk Cousins, kind of doing a who would you rather have, and it's been funny to watch Kirk slowly climb the QB chart in recent years, just because he went from okay, you're going to get an average product. Well, he might get killed on primetime games to yeah, you're kind of getting an above average product, but he doesn't really take chances. To now, Kirk kind of balls out. I've told people he's one of my favorite QBs to watch because he tries to make plays out there. I will say this, Kirk and Dak, I think if you gave Dak the keys to this Atlanta offense, I think you would get a very similar, if not slightly better result. But if you did a QB trade for these two, I don't think anything changes for either team. So, I don't know. I heard Kirk, and Kirk's kind of become my guy, which is shocking. I heard Kirk getting more love than Dak, and I think right now these two are very much part of their circumstance. That if you gave Dak Bijan, hell, if you gave Dak Algier, with Mooney, with Drake London, with Pitts, I think you would get close, if not slightly better than Kirk's stats this year. They are 6-3. The Falcons look like they're running away with that division. Speaking of, the Bills, Tyler Bass, 61-yard game winner. The field goal kicking, it's insane. It's weird, man. How good these guys are now. The Bills are 4-0 at home. The Dolphins made this a game. Josh Allen, I guess they get the final drive done at the end, although 61-yard field goal, not exactly what you're looking for. Tua, back out there for the Dolphins. Man, some of these efficiencies, Tua. It's kind of never mind. He was 25 for 28 passing. That's insane. That would have been the best game to ever happen in 2007. Achane for them. It's really fun to watch him run the ball. Has a receiving touchdown, 2 in this game. But yeah, the Dolphins dropped to 2-6. With Tua, they're obviously a different team, but they've got a big uphill climb. And the Bills are real. Keon Coleman is, a rookie receiver. He has a horrible drop that leads to an interception. He's also got some dog in them. They're playing without Amari Cooper, who they traded for. It's like they have just enough weapons, and if there's something that Khalil Shakir has been really good, if Cooper can come in and be a version of Amari Cooper, they've got a lot of tools in their tool chest. My guy Ray Davis, listed 5'8", 220. I'll let you cook those numbers however you want. The Bills are here, and they are one of the, I think there's 4 or so teams that people are really considering Super Bowl contenders right now, and I think they're one of those teams. Raiders, Bengals. I'm not ready to come back yet, although they've won 3 out of 4. They're at Baltimore next week, so that'll be the big test for them. They're 4-5. They end up hanging 41 points on the Raiders. They still have a lot of their pieces in place, and Chase Brown has kind of taken over that starting running back job and looks good. So maybe that was the missing dynamic from their offense. Hey, if they can do some against the Ravens, I'll be back in on my Bengals. I'm not there yet. Chargers, Browns. Will the Jameis story continue? It did not. Chargers win 27-10. Felt like even more than that. It was 20-23 for a lot of this game. Herbert with a Herbert stat line. J.K. Dobbins, 14 for 85, 2 touchdowns. I made a risky trade in one of my fantasy leagues this week. I traded Zay Flowers away. Ouch. For J.K. Dobbins. I had some wide receiver depth. I didn't have running back depth. I thought they were on similar planes. I've always liked Dobbins. He just always gets hurt. And I feel like running backs are just more fucked up than ever. Like
this year feels like a weird running back year.
It just feels with NFL passing like, hey, you could have a great day from like 4 Packers wide receivers on any given day. Each team has like one running back that you can have a day out of. So I made the move, and it hurt at first because Flowers scored first. And I was like, oh boy. But then Dobbins got me too. They both scored 2 touchdowns. So fun trade. How about that? Chargers 5-3. Go Chargers, go. And Quinn Johnston, he's become the first pick that, I don't know, people were selling on, I guess. He's become their big play guy, and he made a couple in this one. 4 catches for 118 and a tutty. Browns 2-7. Yeah. Patriots, Titans, no. Titans win in overtime. Great game. Drake May at the buzzer. Kind of a cool play. I'll give him that.
That play was cool.
It's cool. Got no problems with Drake May. Him and Bo Nix are checking rookie quarterback boxes. It's just everything else around them, more or less. The Commanders.
Like those teams you're in.
They're in. The Commanders are 7-2. Hello. They beat the New York Football Giants. Giants showed some fight late in this one as they dropped to 2-7, 0-5 at home. Justin Pennick not happy about it. Yeah, I don't know. This didn't even feel like the Commanders' best brand of football. They were missing Brian Robinson Jr., their usual other lead tailback with Austin Eckler. Man, there was a report before the game that players are asking to be traded to Washington, which that sentence has never been said before. So they are as hot in the streets as you can get, while the New York Giants are as not. Another tough one. Meadowlands. The Panthers beat the Saints. I mean, this is kind of a no, except Derek Carr was just getting dragged by former teammates, current teammates. They fire their coach, Dennis Allen. They should have won this game, and they didn't. The Panthers, I will say something that's kind of cool, and I don't know, I need Kamara to keep running the ball, so either trade him or figure it out. That's fantasy loser stuff. I'm sorry that came out. Derek Carr just getting killed, just crucified. If you want to see something that you should like just as a human being, Bryce Young smiling on a football field. After the game, he was smiling. He threw a touchdown pass, and he was smiling. Man, I know we kind of do the NFL quarterback thing, and it's like, well, Carolina sucks, and he's too small, and he don't look good, and we're just like, whatever. This guy was like the man. This guy was the top pick. This guy went to Alabama, was a stud, came to the NFL, and was like, you're one of the futures of the league, and he's got benched for Dalton. To see him have a smile on his face and playing some decent football was happy for him, and maybe that's just something he can build on. Where the Saints, it seems like they're going to unbuild that whole thing. Not a phrasing. Eagles beat the Jaguars. Should have been a dominant victory. Sirianni, guy's out of his mind. Some of the decisions he's making on a team where you have an automatic 1.5-yard gain whenever you want it are just absurd. Some of the fourth down plays and some of the things they were doing just completely out of hand when you have Saquon Barkley just creating like an all-time highlight. If you haven't seen it, the juke out spin move into the reverse hurdle, which if that doesn't make sense to you, it shouldn't, because those are words that nobody said before. Watching it in live time, it's pretty cool, just because I was like, I've never seen that. And I think that was sick, that when you got the first replay, you were like, and it's confirmed. That was insanity. They have that guy, and with the catches, Devontae Smith, like him and Garrett Mitchell, like those catches, I don't think those ever got made before. I think those were just called incomplete, and we moved on. Those guys are sick puppies. A.J. Brown is back for them. The Eagles are 6-2. Should probably be 7-1. I think they need to start getting lumped into the actual Super Bowl teams again, which good for them for where they were. I think Eagles fans, similar to what I just watched with the Yankees, their fear is themselves. Their fear is Sirianni. Their fear is the dumb stuff that they do. And I don't know. I just don't think Eagles fans are going to really believe unless they get really hot, which we should have been talking about them winning this game in a blowout. They're up 16-0 at the half. The Jags show some fight. 2-7, Jayville. Cardinals beat the Bears 29-9. I had this as my against the spread pick. I bet actual money on this one because I think the Cardinals are good and the Bears are not. The Bears' defense and special teams has saved Caleb Williams in 2 to 3 games. And again, I've admitted, I don't say I'm not a Caleb hater, but I just need to see it, just like any rookie quarterback. If he had came out his first year out of USC, I would have said, whoa, this guy's the next Mahomes, pass the torch. He went to college another year. He did not play as well. That's scouts and everyone. I know the team wasn't as good, but he took a step down. Anyways, they end up rolling on the Bears. 29-9. These Cardinals have some fight. They get a blowout win after back-to-back field goal kick wins. They've won 3 in a row. They host the Jets, and then they play the Seahawks. Kyler looks great. Kyler looks fantastic as long as they can keep him healthy, which that's the fear. But it feels like he's been doing things to stay healthier and not get the big hit and not running around like a crazy man as much. James Conner's just a workhorse. We live in this get over running back societies. James Conner, we didn't need to get over. Derrick Henry, I understand, some guys run out of tread on the tire, but some guys don't. Connor's killing it. Lions beat the Packers. This was another one where the Packers were this should be a big game for them. They can beat the Lions. They would go to 7-2. They've got them in Lambeau. Weather monster hurt them here. It's pouring rain, which I do feel like that favors the Lions, who like to be nasty and pound the ball on the ground and all that jazz. Where when the Packers are at their best, it's Jordan Love spreading the ball out to all those young, talented receivers. I don't know how much of an effect that had in this. The Lions are really good. They're now 7-1, real Super Bowl team. And I also think there's some stat out there that the teams the Lions play the next week, those teams are horrible against the spread, and I think they lose a lot because the Lions are so physical that they just beat you down. Pretty good thing to have as a football team. 4-0 on the road. What's that, Beebs?
It's a cool stat.
Yeah, right? No, it's very cool. It's badass. It's Dan Campbell. It's these Lions. Rams beat the Seahawks in overtime. Gonna be honest, was red zoning and watching some of this game. JSN has his breakout Seahawks game, so they're hopeful for the future when they get DK Metcalf was out of this game, that maybe that could make their passing attack to the next level. They've been waiting for this one with Kenneth Walker and Geno. Dude, Matthew Stafford, some of the throws he makes are disgusting. Demarcus Robinson had about 3 catches that if you saw them once in a game, you'd be like, that's sick. Stafford to him alone, he had 3 of those. It's really cool. I know he's Trev's friend and shit, whatever, that he's now appreciated as a great quarterback, because he is. He is. He was in Detroit during the bad times for too long. He might have to. He got out of there, and it worked out. He Your final game was Vikings-Colts. Joe Flacco gets the start in a game where the Vikings had a couple sloppy ones. Darnold with an interception in the red zone. Excuse me. He ends up with 3 touchdown passings. How do you like that? Justin Jefferson is a stud. The Vikings are 6-2. They're one of the only fringe. Are they a Super Bowl teams right now? I think them, Packers maybe. You could say Falcons. Those are kind of a tier below the tier. Hey, if Sam Darnold can be a B, I think they are Super Bowl type team. That's the question we'll see as we're going. And the Colts, man, I don't know. Flacco fighting out there while you got AR5 on the bench. It's going to be interesting to see how they juggle that. Back-to-back losses for them, and they are hosting the Bills next week. So, hey, tune into the Chiefs tonight. Trying to keep the win streak going against the Yucks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kansas City -9. Will I touch it? Maybe, I don't know. See if I'm bored tonight. Hey, lot of baseball offseason, a lot of other sports incoming. Thank you, guys. You are the best. Tell them about Uncle Dan.
Talkin Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.